On Southampton's Voice FM, this is Arts and Culture. My name is Xan, and a very good afternoon to you. Be fierce and be fabulous. That's the tagline for Priscilla Queen of the Desert, which comes to Mayflower Theatre from March the 16th. It's bolder and more fabulous than ever, and described as a joyous celebration of unity, love, and being unapologetically yourself. And his own blend of youthful mischief and rebellious energy is actor, singer, and dancer Nick Hayes, who stars as Felicia and Adam and joins us online. Nick, a very good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Zan. I'm a little bit tired. We're in like mid eight show week, but other than that, I'm very well, thank you.
Well, of course you must be. I mean, you're acting, you're singing, and you're dancing. All three. It's is this? But are you in your happy place doing this?
I am, yeah, and I've actually just had kind of a couple of years out of the industry, so it's really, really good to be back in my happy place.
Excellent. And how is the body doing? Because I can imagine after 2 years of taking a break from dancing, you must be finding certain areas which are doing well, and other areas which a couple of tweaks or something like that.
It's a huge shock. I am covered in small cuts and bruises and having some physio, but very happy.
But this is probably a good show to come back to then, because you were within this you did this show about 4 or 5 years ago. Am I right?
Yeah, a couple of times, pre-COVID and then post-COVID, we went back out again. So yeah, it's really, really nice to kind of have the soft landing of coming back into a role that you've already played before.
Well, I've got a confession to make in that I haven't seen the film. I've seen bits of the film and I haven't seen the show. So, for people like us, in a nutshell, could you just give us an outline of the story?
Yeah, Zan, it's one of my personal favorites. It's a kind of a cult classic, so watch it ASAP. Um, it's the story. The film stars Hugo Weaving, Terence Stamp, and Guy Pearce, and it basically follows two drag queens and a trans woman and their journey across the desert to try and find one of them's son, but kind of along the way end up finding themselves.
Fantastic. That sounds like great fun. And the fact that it's been going as a musical on stage for 30 years is testament to the production. Has it changed much since you last did it?
Yeah, it has. I'd say it's sort of bigger and better. We've got new design by Andrew Exeter. He's fantastic, a real sort of visionary and quite up and coming in the West End theatre scene. And then we've got costumes by Vicky Gill from Strictly, and new choreography from Matt Cole, who just won an Olivier for Newsies. So they've kind of leveled up.
You just made me think the world has changed over the last 5 years, especially for trans people. Are you noticing a different type of audience coming to this? And are you seeing people approaching this production as a trailblazing, although I know it's been going for 30 years, but something that is actually allowing people to express themselves better?
Yes, massively. I mean, I think although it's a very difficult time for trans people, there's definitely more trans awareness within the general public. Last time we did the show, the trans female role was played by a cis man. And this time it's played by a wonderful, sort of iconic trans woman, Adele Anderson from Fascinating Aida. Um, and so just, her bringing her energy to it has just really elevated the whole piece. And it's really interesting. My character's actually kind of transphobic in the beginning and quite awful to her. And it's interesting seeing um, those kind of transphobic comments land so differently now to how they did before. They used to kind of get some titters and laughs, and now it sort of gasps, which I think, despite everything in the state of the world, kind of does show some progress.
That's very interesting. I'm really gutted that I haven't actually seen it so I could understand that fully. Because that's a very interesting observation. The fact that the even in this short space of time, how much the writing is having a different effect on the audience. Have you noticed any other changes?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that thing where sort of, art over time sort of transmutes and changes and kind of has a different message depending on where we are in the world and what's happening. And that's definitely something that's happened here. There was sort of this really weird, murky period where Priscilla, there was sort of a question mark over the show and whether it was relevant anymore. And now at its 30-year anniversary, it's sort of gone full circle and become more relevant than ever, I think.
And is this like a little bit like Rocky Horror, where people come along and dress up and actually sort of play the part from the chair?
It it doesn't quite have that Rocky Horror energy. It's definitely like a huge party by the end. Everybody's up on their feet. Um, but I'd say what's been really lovely is audiences connecting massively with the story and the characters and sort of, leaning forward. There's real like gorgeous moments in the show where you can sort of hear a pin drop. There's a particular moment where my character gets sort of gay bashed. And there's a sort of coming together of Bernadette, which is Adele's role, and Adam, that you've kind of been waiting for or not sure was going to happen or not. And that moment sort of lands really lovely now. It's quite a touching moment, I think.
That's very interesting, I suppose, and for actor, that's a great testament to your art and everyone else on stage, but also how you're singing, you're dancing, you're speaking. It's all noise, noise, noise. But you know when you land something, when the theatre goes quiet.
Yeah, a lot of my character's dialogue is sort of gag after gag. He's funny. His language is witty and camp and quite cutting. So it was really important for me to sort of really going through the script to highlight those areas where I can show some depth. And I think I've managed to do that, but it was quite tricky because it is sort of gag after gag. So finding the moments where the mask drops and he's just a real human.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you've got plenty to work on in the show. Even after 30 years, it still has something to offer the audience. And just as a conclusion, for people who are going to this for the first time, how do you think they'll be? Obviously, everyone when they go to the theatre goes in one themselves and then comes out slightly different. How do you think people come out differently from Priscilla?
They'll come out happy for sure. Um, there's obviously all of the kind of dance floor disco classics throughout the whole show. So there's definitely a lot of nostalgia in the show. Um, but hopefully, people will come out feeling slightly more tolerant. Um, I think the ultimate message of the show is that we're all the same, regardless of gender, sexuality, background. So I think, tolerance and inclusivity is a huge message of the show and something that I think people will feel coming out of it.
Well, actor, singer, dancer Nick Hayes, thank you very much for speaking with us. I hope everyone has a great time at Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which arrives at Mayflower Theatre on the 16th, runs through to the 21st. And as we like to say here, break a leg.
Thank you, Zan.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.